So what's going on guys, Kades here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the best Severus Snape build in Hogwarts Legacy. So in this guide I will show you what spells and gear you wanna get. Then I will explain what are the best talents, gear upgrades and traits to use for early and endgame content. And then lastly I will show you the best gameplay and even which stats you need to prioritize when leveling, so you would be able to get the best results and highest damage possible and much more. So no matter how low or high level or gear your character has, you can easily use this build and follow the step-by-step guide. So if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So then moving over to the build, and we will be using one of the most fun and unique playstyles in the whole game. So this is the Severus Snape build, more commonly known as the OP plant build, which means that we will be using plants and potions to increase our damage by huge amounts. And on top of all of this, I will show you how can you easily and for very cheap set up a huge plant farms, so then you can produce unlimited amounts of plants for your build. And by the way, these plants will be useful for quests and leveling as well. So if you're looking for a different playstyle and you want to use an easy and very powerful build, then this is the one for you. So then with that said, let's move over to our talents, and as you get one talent per each level, so expect to max most of your talent tree at level 40, but for the first 10 to 15 levels each point matters. So then first of all we wanna spend 3 points into the core category, and we wanna unlock the spell knowledge 1 and 2, and then the swift move as well. Then let's move over to the dark arts, and we wanna unlock the blood curse, disarming curse, stunning curse, enduring curse, crucio mastery and curse supper, and then of course Avada Kedavra. Then afterwards let's go to the spells and unlock the Confringo mastery, Accio mastery, Defendo and Incendio mastery, and then lastly the Bombard mastery as well. And then lastly we wanna go into the room of requirement and unlock the fertilizer, Maxima potion efficiency, headache and Noxious. As I said at the start, Hogwarts Legacy doesn't have the same talent system like in other games, so I recommend to first of all only use the talents I told you to unlock first, but then when you get to a higher level, then you can spend your talent points in whatever order you like. And then on top of all of this, any player can start farming potions and plants very easy. So all that you have to do is go into the Hogsmeade, and then visit the shop called Tomes and Scrolls, and there you wanna buy a large potting table spellcraft. Then now let's go to the Dogweed and Deadcap shop and buy the Chomping Cabbage seed. And then lastly let's go to the room of requirement and then just build 7 large potting stations and grow in all of them the Chomping Cabbage. And then if you want to, you can do the same thing to potion stations and brew 7 more Maxima potions. We bought a large table instead of medium, because one of your quests will be to grow the dogweed and other plants, so you will have to buy this table anyway, and most players above level 20 should have it already. So this is how we can easily farm 7 or more chomping cabbages every 12 minutes. Once you buy the seeds and large table, which you can use for quests as well, you will get unlimited amount of plants, and the way we get ingredients is by just going around the open world while completing quests and then collecting everything we come across, and that's it. So then let's move over to the gear, and in this game the gear and stats are very basic. So we have our health, defense and offense, and then in total we have 6 gear pieces. So we get gloves, facewear, hats, scarves, cloaks and outfit. Each one of these items will increase one of your stats. And all that we wanna do is after a few quests keep checking your inventory and only use the gear that has this green arrow, or then sell it if it has a red one. The specific gear that you use doesn't really matter, besides the upgrades and traits that you can enchant the gear with. So we can upgrade our gear by using the loom in our room of requirement. The more you will play the game, the better equipment you will get, but basically all you wanna do is come to this loom and constantly upgrade your gear, and each gear can be upgraded 3 times by pressing the upgrade button and then use one of the feathers or other materials. Upgrading your equipment will just simply increase its stats, and you can get the feathers and other materials to upgrade your gear with from the shops and beasts that you have in your vivarium. What I usually do is after playing the game for about 30 minutes, I teleport back to the room of requirement, and then I brush and feed all of my pets. And then they will give me materials which then I can use to upgrade my gear. So in a short summary, you want to do this constantly to all of your gear pieces. And then lastly, while we are talking about gear, the last way that we can improve our stats is by using the trait mechanic. So what we want to do is again click on the loom, but this time click on the view traits. And here you can see all the bonuses that you can put on your gear. Every high level gear has one slot in which you can put one level 1 trait, then one level 2 trait, or then one level 3 trait. Again, the same as with upgrading your gear, you will use feathers and other materials that you gather from your beasts. But on top of all of this time you will need to spend extra time and discover the traits that you want to use. So you can obtain traits by collecting the trait recipes from the bandit camp. You will have to look for this camp icon in the world to find one. So then with that said, when you start getting your traits on your gear, you only want to use the Fangs trait on all 6 gear pieces, because this trait can stack and it will increase our damage by huge amounts. Of course, you will start with level 1 trait, but the more you will play, the better traits you will unlock. So then at the end, you will want all of your traits at level 3. So then let's move over to our spells, and in general we will be using 8 spells, so 2 sets of 4 spell presets. And if you did not know by now, then by using your first talent point into the spell knowledge 1, you can unlock additional 4 spell presets and much more. So then for the first spell we have the Expelliarmus. This skill will disarm the enemy's weapon, but for monsters that don't carry a weapon, they will just take significant damage. Then the second spell is called the Pulso. This skill will push enemies away and do damage. And if the enemy gets pushed into more enemies, then all of them will take damage. Then the third spell is called Confringo. This is a long-range bolt that deals damage on impact. Enemies hit with this fire attack will continue to take damage for few seconds, and during that time, collisions will result in Incendiary Burst, which will do even more damage. Then the fourth spell is the one and only Avada Kedavra. This skill is very simple. On whoever you use it, he will get one-shotted and die instantly. Yes, this spell is very OP, but has a long cooldown, so especially in quests, you want to only use the spell on the strongest enemies but not on bosses. Then for the next one we have the Bombarda. This skill is a big damage dealer that will explode enemies in AoE range. Then for the next one we have the Crucio. This ability will cause enemies to take damage over time, and this curse can curse multiple enemies at once. Then for one of the last spells we have the Axio. This skill will summon or basically pull enemies or objects closer. This is another good ability that won't do damage, but is very useful to break enemy casting, or just to use it in completing all the puzzle quests in the game. And then lastly, we will be using the Defendo. This skill will slash enemies from afar, doing a lot of damage. So overall, this build's main strategy is to utilize all the potions and plants. And because of our talents and traits, we will do incredible amount of damage. And if you count the other 8 spells that we can additionally use, then this build is basically very OP. Because in a short summary, we are using the Dark Lord's Voldemort's build, but plus all the plants and potions, which increase our damage even more. So then lastly, for our essential combat spells, like most of us already know, we have the basic cast, which by pressing a left click will do a simple attack. Then your Q spell is called Protego, which is your basic defense spell. And if you get hit while holding it, then not only you will take no damage, but you can stun the enemy as well. Then the next skill is the Ancient Throw, which you can use if you're fighting enemies in places with small rocks or objects. This spell will allow you to throw rocks and objects at your target. And then for our last combat essential spell we have the Ancient Magic, which is basically like your ultimate ability. So by eliminating monsters you can collect their essence, which then if this bar reaches full, then you can press X on enemies and do your ultimate ability, which will do very high damage. Then another way that we can boost up our damage is by using potions. For most of the leveling with this build you can easily defeat every single enemy, but just in case at the endgame, if you really need more buffs, then I recommend use the Maxima potion. All the other potions are not that good, and mainly you should not worry about taking damage, as long as you dodge and block. But on the other hand, we could always use more DPS, so to increase your damage use the Maxima potion, or any of these plants. All plants are really good, but I personally like the Chomping Cabbage, because it is very cheap and easy to get, and it does a lot of damage to multiple enemies at once. So then with all of this said, let's move over to the gameplay where I will show you the best spell rotation. So we want to start the fight by using the Mandrake to stun all the enemies. Then we use the Venomous Tentacula to break every enemy's shield. And then lastly we use few Chomping Cabbages. And because of our perks, every enemy will die super quickly. And if you just started using this build, then you can as well do the budget version. So you can do the same thing, but just at the start of the fight, use the Maxima potion, then pop out few Chomping Cabbages, and then use most of the spells. So use the Avada Kedavra on the strongest enemies, then use Expelliarmus, then the Pulso, and then lastly the Confringo. Or then another combo is to use Crucio, then Bombarda, then Axio, and then finish it off with the Defendo. But as this build is already very powerful, so most of the time you just have to use 1 or 2 plants and the enemy will die right away. But then for boss fights and stronger enemies, then you can use all of the combos. And then lastly, of course by default, you want to keep on using the dodge or Q to escape enemy attacks. And then as well keep on using the left clicks for basic attacks. And to break enemy shield, I prefer to use any stun or immobilize spell, or you can even use Crucio or throw objects to easily break the enemy shield, and that's about it. So with that said, I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other good Hogwarts Legacy guides that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe, and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With all this said, you have an amazing day and I will see you in my next video, so take it easy, peace.